Hi, welcome to Boomer Guitar Sessions, episode 11. And I am your host, Rod. Today, we're going to tackle your first music theory lesson. So, what are the important things that people who want to learn to play the guitar, what do we got to learn? What don't we got to learn? I got a story to tell you. I remember in the fall of 1987, actually, it would be August of 1987, I was at the York Mall in York, Pennsylvania, and I saw a musician friend of mine, and I told him, I'm going to Berkeley in a couple days, and I'm going to be enrolling at Berkeley College of Music, and I'm excited about it. And this friend of mine said, man, I bet you're going to learn a lot of theory. And I remember saying, Lord, I hope not. And that haunts me every day, because what was I thinking? It was up until that point, whenever anybody taught me music theory, it was always as it applies to somebody else's problem. When I say that, you can talk about counterpoint and the music of Bach and figured bass and all this. These were problems that I did not have. These were issues that were not mine. And so the counterpoint, the Bach, everything related to classical music and nothing related to my music. And I didn't understand how my music worked, but I didn't understand that music theory could be used in my music as well. So Berkeley taught me, among many, many things, that music theory governs all music, not just the stuff that your high school music teacher is aware of. So today what we're going to talk about is all the stuff, the problem solving that is music theory. Why would you want to learn music theory? I don't understand the ideas about some people. They think that if you understand music theory, that you're somehow not creative. Anything can be further from the truth. When you have a composer, you have John Williams, you have Hans Zimmer, you have a composer, it's not like they don't understand music at all. It's not like they don't know music. They know music, but they're creating with the tools that they know, which is a lot of tools. And it's not guesswork. It's like, you're a doctor, you don't want to guess at things. You don't want to guess at things because, like for a musician, when you guess at stuff, what are the odds of that you hitting the right note just out of guessing? And how often are you going to do that before you get fired from the job, or just embarrassing yourself? Your music should be your place to shine, not embarrassment. So what do we need to learn? First thing we want to talk about is the idea of struggle, and the idea of problem solving, and the idea of eliminating guesswork. That's what music theory does for you, and it organizes. Okay, so we want to alleviate the struggle. We don't understand why things work the way they do, and most of these explanations are relatively simple for our music. When I say our music, it could be rock, could be pop, could be country, could be guitar music. Okay, so alleviate the struggle, eliminate guesswork. We don't want to be guessing. We want to organize. So we want to organize the music. We understand it. We understand it well enough that we can manipulate it to whatever goal we have. Could be improvising, could be songwriting. It could be figuring out a song. Okay. If we know the song is in a particular key, we know that there are predictable things that are within that key. So we don't want struggle long term. We want to get past that. Okay. Next thing we want to talk about is basics. Like on a guitar, we have high notes, we have low notes. The low notes are the bass notes. High notes are the high notes. Okay, they're the trebly notes. Okay, so these are going to be your bass notes. All right. So with that said, we count the strings from first to sixth. This is your first string, second string, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. These are basics. We need to know the basics. So now, next thing we want to talk about is what is a melody and what are chords and why are they important? Melody, chords. Melody is anything that can be sung. It doesn't have to be sung. Guitar riffs are melodies. Guitar solos, most guitar solos have a melodic part within them. You can do lots of dweedly stuff, but there has to be some sort of melodic component. Nobody just wants to hear you do meaningless things. All right. Guitar chords are when we put notes on top of notes. Okay, those are the things we strum on a guitar. Those are notes. Now, the study of music theory is like the relationship between chords and melody. The relationship between chords and melody and rhythm. And maybe even, you know, we can bring sound textures into that study as well. Okay, so now there's two kinds of music theory that I teach. Both are useful in different ways. First kind of music theory is this is right because I said so. This is the case because I said so. For example, there's your F note. To raise that up a sharp, that's an F sharp. Why do they call it sharp? I don't know. It is. It just is. Key of C major. First thing that you want to do is know that C major has no sharps or flats. It's all natural notes. Okay? And when we say natural notes, we got to take a look at the musical alphabet. The musical alphabet goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Start on any note, but after G goes A. We don't go up to H, I, J, K. Okay, it's only those notes in the alphabet, and then there are different registers of those notes. All right. Okay, with that said, within the musical alphabet, we have whole steps and we have half steps. So if I have an F note right here on your first fret, and I look at my G note, that's 2 frets apart. That's called a whole step. All right. If I go from my B note to the C note, I notice that is a half step. Okay, so whole steps are 2 frets, 2 fret distance, 1 fret in between. Okay, half steps are 1 fret distance, neighboring notes. That's a half step. Okay, these are the basic building blocks of scales and keys of everything. Okay, so when we talk about going up the neck, when I say raise the note, raise always means higher in pitch. Up the neck always means higher. Going down the neck, go down in pitch, it means we go lower. Okay, so now with just the information that I've shown you, just now, we can establish the first goal that if you want to get good at guitar, you have to learn this. Learn where your notes are on the fingerboard. This helps you determine chords. This helps you find songs. This eliminates the struggle, because you can find chords in an instant. Okay, so how will we do that? So we know that in the musical alphabet between E and F, that's a half step. My open E to the F note is going to be a half step. And we know that B, C, B and C, that's a half step. E, F, and B and C, those are your half steps within the musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Half steps. Everything else is a whole step. Okay? Okay, so with that said, the names of your notes here. Eat a darn good burrito every day. We've already discussed this in previous lessons. 12th fret is the same thing. Okay, so if that's an E, F is the next one up. If that's in the third dot on your guitar, that is your 7th fret. That spells the word bead, B-E-A-D. Okay, the 4 bottom notes are the B-E-A-D. So wherever B is, C is a half step higher. Wherever B is, the letter before B in the alphabet is A. A is a whole step lower. Okay, that is your A note. Okay, this is a G chord, as many of you know. If you don't know your chords. Learn your chords by name and fingering. It matters. Okay, there's your G chord or G note. When you have an open chord, the lowest note of nearly all open chords are the name of the chord. So this is the G chord, this is a G note. This is a C chord, this is a C note. Okay? Music theory. This is all stuff that is not hard, provides understanding. It'll get you to learn chords quickly. And there's no struggle. We're alleviating the struggle to learn songs. And now my approach has always been like a song-centered learning, because we want to learn songs. People want to hear songs. They don't want to hear exercises that can't be applied in everyday life. Okay, so things that we want to need to learn on the guitar, we can learn in the context of a song. So with that said, learning chords and learning the chords and chord progressions, which is the next thing we want to talk about. When you have a song, you string chords together. Okay, that's called a chord progression. So if that's a 2-chord chord progression. You can sing a melody over top of that. That's how you write a song. These chords are within the key of G. Understanding what's in the key of G helps you write songs without struggle. It also helps you, if you know what's in, we can also find ways to go out that people have done. What have your heroes done? What kind of quirky stuff do the people you listen to do? And then your music can be studied in a theoretical way as well. And it shouldn't scare you. It's not overly hard. It is probably the number one thing that you should be checking out if you want to excel as a musician, as a guitar player. Okay, so now sharps and flats. When we sharp a note, we take any of the natural notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All of them can be raised 1/2 step up, and all of them, like this, is an E note. It's also E sharp. It's more commonly known as F, but in the key of C sharp major, E is sharp, F is sharp. Okay? Okay, so now, so every natural note, so here's F, F sharp, G, G sharp. So if you know all your notes on the fingerboard, which that's ground zero, we can't learn chords quickly, chord progressions quickly. We can't improvise. We can't play in key without knowing where our notes are and what our notes are. Should be the first thing we learn on guitar. Like, to do that in the first month. All right? Okay. A sharp. B, C, it's also B sharp. Okay. Here's E. I know that because it's eat a darn good burrito every day. The double dot is the E octave. When I say octave, it's 8 notes away, but it is the same notes as your open strings. All right. Then we can go backwards. So this is E flat, D, D flat, C, B, or C flat, A flat, G, G flat. Flats are the opposite of sharps. They lower. The two words sharp and flat kind of sound like what they do. It's like blast. I forget what the word is called, where the words sound like what they do. Sharp sounds like an up note. If you're sharp, you're a person of a higher intelligence. All right. If you're flat broke, you have no money. You lower expectations, lower status. All right. So that sharps and flats. All your once you know your natural notes, just sharp and flat the rest of them. Now, what I would start with is I would start with your E, A, and D strings, or just E and A for now. Learn where your notes are. Learn where your notes are. So that is F, B flat, C, B flat. It's B flat, it's not A sharp. Because in the key of F, F has one flat. Okay? Which is B flat. So next, let's talk about, okay, so these sharps, flats, and whole steps and half steps. I told you before, there's two ways we can learn this instrument, learn music theory. This is right because Rod says so, which is the first way, and sometimes that works for certain things. Okay, but eventually what you want to do is you want to understand why Rod says so. Why is it true? Okay, so with that said, the major scale. The major scale is that is the next thing that we want to learn. We want to learn about key. We want to learn what chords are in key, and we want to think in those terms, because this is how you can really work on learning how to create songs, figure out other people's songs, improvise over, playing lead guitar over somebody else's song. You got to know what key it is. Key it is in. It's not guesswork. I don't understand how people can think that that's there's some sort of benefit. And all these people that say that you don't need to learn music theory, they're lying to you. Okay? Because everything, what they're saying is the things that the hacks that they're giving you is music theory. Okay? But they don't want to scare you. So with that said, whole step, half step, 2 whole steps followed by a half step, 3 whole steps followed by a half step. So if I go like this, I start on a C note. I said C is already natural notes, all natural notes, no sharps or flats. But if I go like this, so that was whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So the next thing, that is your C major scale. And now one of the things that you can understand about the C major scale, what do we know about any major scale? It is equal to do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay? If we say something's in the key of C, it is C major. Okay? C is the default key. Not C. Major keys are the default key. Okay? When I say that, if I'm playing in the key of G, it's G major. Okay? If you say G blues, that's a different thing. If you say this is in G minor, that's a different thing. Okay? G blues means dominant. All right? So with that said, here is a one little trick that we can do. One little thing that puts this to use. So that C major scale, so what you can do with that, and this is taught to me by a Boston area guitar player, props to Berkeley for exposing me to him, by the name of Mick Goodrick. He wrote a very, very great book that you can get 10 pages into it, and that can be studies. You can study that for a lifetime and get gains out of it, called The Advancing Guitarist. Okay, is figure out where those notes are in a line, and then jam, play horizontally. So with that said, so you take those notes that you just figured out, and you can improvise melodies just by mapping out the notes of the C major scale. You map out the notes of the C major scale on all 6 strings and you've learned the fingerboard. That's the other thing. Okay. And we can create, this is a steps towards improvisation. So when we talk about improvisation, what is improvisation? Improvisation is spontaneous creation. It doesn't mean we don't know anything. It doesn't mean we don't have any kind of understanding of music to do it. It doesn't mean play your guitar with the innocence of a toddler. Okay? It doesn't mean that. It means you learn your instrument and you create music on the fly based on your knowledge of the instrument, your knowledge of music, the people you listen to, the people, you know. And it is an absolutely great skill to have, and I think essential. So that is the major scale as it applies to melody. Okay? So the next thing you'd want to do, that was when we learned these in the line. Okay? That was horizontal organization. So the next thing we could do is learn to play a major scale, one octave. Okay, that's your C major scale, but we're keeping it in one position of the neck, so we're not. Okay, the benefits for that is we're not going all over the neck when we don't have to. Sometimes that's a benefit. The other thing that we could do with that is like, okay, so that's your C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We could also call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's called the numbering system. It's what Nashville's about. It's what Berklee College of Music is about. It's most people who are improvising musicians understand the numbering system. It is music theory that applies to pop music, rock music, country music. It is the stuff we need to learn. All right. So we have the just as there are 7 separate notes to the every key, there are 7 separate chords. Now, for the sake of simplicity in this lesson, it is your first lesson. If I root a chord off of the first note of the C major scale, which is a C note, I'm using a power chord. That's your 1 chord. That's what the numbering system implies. That's going to be your 4 chord. Okay, so learning the numbering system, all of that is that. Those are further rabbit holes to go down into music theory. It's not necessarily ridiculously difficult. It is not old and outdated and like what I was explaining before. It's absolutely relevant to chord progressions and songs. Okay, so that is your 1, 4, 5, 4, the basis of so many songs. We could say, and it's movable. So if I move it down to an A note, the 1, 4, 5. The 1, 4, and 5. That is the Ramones. That is what punk rock is built off of. That's also country music. That's also some pop music. Okay, stringing simple chords together. Tons and tons of songs. Tons and tons of songs are bases have very, very simple beginnings. And chord progressions are not copyrightable. That's another thing. So this, you've heard somebody do it. Just take the same chords and do your own thing with it, and you can write a song, and that can be your building block. Okay, can't steal other people's melodies. They get the copyright attorneys get real edgy on that. But chord progressions are not copyrightable. Going to 6. So anyway, all of these things that we're talking about are the basis of things that we can learn in future lessons, future installments, episodes of Boomer Guitar Sessions. So with that said, one more thing we're going to talk about. 3 different kinds of sounds that you need to be familiar with if you want to excel as a guitar player, as a musician, as a bass player. 3 different kinds of sounds. Major sounds, minor sounds, and dominant sounds. Okay, so for the sake of simplicity, we said that the major sounds, back to our C major example, it is the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It is the happy sound, for lack of a better term. Now the minor sound is darker and okay. So we know this in chord sounds, but it's also in progressions, it's also in melodies, it's all that kind of stuff. Major sounds, minor sounds, which is darker, and then the third tonality that not near enough people talk about is dominant sounds. Dominant sounds are like the blues. When I say the dominant sounds, like in major and minor key harmony, the dominant chord is the chord that needs to resolve to the tonic, which is a lot of music theory that is not that important right now. Blues tonality, dominant tonality, that dominant 7th chord can be the 1 chord. All the 1, 4, and 5 can all be dominant 7th chords, and often are. It is the basis of the 12-bar blues, which is another music theory thing, a form within music that is absolutely something we're going to be covering more of in Boomer Guitar Sessions. So this is my best shot at what do you need to know as a guitar player, as a bass player. If you're not interested in learning your notes on the bass, you're not really, you're just a hobbyist, and that's all right too. Whatever is music can be used for whatever you want. But those who want to really excel on their instrument, learn your notes, learn your keys, learn to play in key, learn to think in terms of key. Okay, learn the difference between half steps and whole steps. Learn where your sharps are, where your flats are. Okay, learn to play in lots of keys, every key. Okay, these are all things that we can cover in future installments. So this is Rod, Boomer Guitar Sessions, signing out. Remember that you can always do this. You can do this. You can do this. This is nothing that I say. I wish I was saying stuff that is impossible, but I'm not Einstein. This is all stuff you can do. I appreciate you. And until next time, share, like, subscribe, and tell 50 of your closest friends. And I appreciate you. See ya.